Hi, Robert Reich here. I'm the host of the You Heard Me podcast. Today, I had a special guest, Brenden Rendo, a 30-year veteran of the real estate industry in Central Florida. Wait till you hear what he has to say. Brenden, great to see you. Thanks for coming to the You Heard Me podcast.
Glad to be here, Rob. How's everything going?
All is good here today. Sunny Florida. You're in Florida. It doesn't get any better than this. So let's jump in, and I'm going to ask you some questions and fire these at you. And take your time and give us your best answers, of course. First thing is context. How'd you get into the real estate industry?
I got into the real estate industry because I actually was in medical sales, and I was traveling a lot, and I just got tired of traveling. And my wife and I at the time were looking to purchase the home we had done a lease to purchase agreement with. And the gentleman who helped me with my mortgage actually spent the time, helped me fix a couple things on my credit that I needed to fix in order to buy the home on time. And while we're sitting there talking to him, he's like, gosh, I need help. And I'm like, well, how's the money? And he goes, well, I do this. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. What do I have to do? And he gave me the name of mortgage school. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And maybe this is my my ticket out of having to travel so much and be home more with the family. And it worked out.
Awesome. So what happened then? You were in mortgages for a while, and obviously you didn't stay in mortgages. So what'd you do?
Yep. Yeah. I started in roughly 96, 97. I worked with a gentleman named Brad Langdon, really learned a lot from him. His processor actually was phenomenal. I used to sit with the processor and watch her process the files. I'm a person, I want to know how everything worked. And I actually learned how all the processing took place, the documents that they needed. And she really, really taught me a lot. And then I've never been a good employee. So I stepped out on my own and owned a couple different net branches where we had the license and we represent ourselves. And I think the most at any one time was maybe about 20 people who had worked for me. And I went through the Great Recession. That was extremely frustrating because you went from doing a ton of work to absolutely. And
I remember those days. They were not fun.
I literally had 3 condos approved. They were all supposed to schedule the end of the month, and mid-month they changed all the guidelines. So all of them got denied. And at that point I was like, I'm done. I just can't keep doing this. I had twins on the way, and it's just like, I just can't keep banging my head against the wall. So I was fortunate enough that I built some really good relationships. And one gentleman, Warren Gagne, who actually used to do all my appraisals when I was a lender, was the manager at Remax Town and Country in Winter Springs. And he had been trying for a couple of years to get me to switch over to the real estate side. And at this point, I'm like, okay, let's do it. So he was kind enough to get the office to pay for my tests, pay for my class. And I passed and started working there. Great experience, great group of people. Remax is just it's a tough place, but boy, do you learn fast because it's a lot of top eight. And I just went to all the agents and said, if you've got something that you don't want to work on, that's either too big or actually too small for you, or you don't have the time for it, let me have it. And that's how I really cut my teeth, is I took a lot of the stuff that no one else was willing to take and actually started building my book of business that way.
That you and I were talking earlier about leads and how important leads are. And, it's no secret that leads are the lifeblood. My dad always used to tell me leads are the lifeblood of any business. So you were able to get leads, work leads, close some of those leads better than anybody, especially in a time when real estate wasn't great. So how'd you get those leads? Was it only just coming from realtors who didn't want to work them, or was there other leads?
I had a couple different sources. My brother-in-law also was a realtor. He has a very good website called yourorlando.com. And he and I made a deal. It was a 25% or 20% referral fee. And he didn't have the personality for buyers, but I enjoyed working with him. So I had leads coming in from him on a regular basis. Plus I had all the mop-up work from the other agents. And once the other agents saw that I was willing to work the leads, more leads would come. That's what they wanted to see. Because the most frustrating part, and I can tell you from this side, when I've tried to hire some buyer's agents, a lot of them just don't want to work. And they make 1 or 2 phone calls and give up. And you cannot do it that way. It's a process of, I call it being pleasantly persistent. And that's what you have to be, pleasantly persistent.
Yeah, that concept of persistence is seems to be somewhat unique today. I think that's kind of a lost art. So before I ask you about persistence, do you think that your model today would work today of what you did back then,
Oh
20
yeah.
plus years
I haven't
ago?
changed
If
anything.
I'm a young agent or I'm an agent, maybe I've been in the business for a little while and I'm struggling. Do you think I could go and talk to the more senior agents, say, hey, give me the leads that you don't want. I'll cut you in for a referral fee, and then I can still do that today? Is that applicable in 2024?
It's a good question because there's a lot of changes that it may not work in some situations, it may work in others. For instance, you've got these different models now like LPT, EXP,
Right.
where everyone's just kind of out in the world. It's not like when I started. I mean, we still went to the office all the time, and you talked to people all the time, and you had the interaction all the time, and you don't have that anymore. You really don't. I mean, I work out of my house. Very rarely go to the office, but I've had that discussion with my brokers. I miss it sometimes. I miss just after a long day, 4 o'clock, come in, sit down, and like, hey, I did this today, I did that today. I've got this situation with this closing coming up. How would you handle it? How would you word it? I miss that because you learn so much, and
Absolutely.
a lot of times the way I can tend to be more aggressive, where my broker Warren is just smooth. He just relax, chill, and the way he presents it sometimes like, oh, that sounds a lot better than the way I would do it, so that interaction is missed. So I can. If you're in a place that people go to the office, do I think it can still work? Yes. Some of the newer models like LPT and stuff like that, no. But I'll also tell you, since these models have popped up, the quality of agents has deteriorated immensely. Really has, because you don't have someone mentoring. You don't have people around you to really teach you. Like I could always walk across the hall and say, hey Dave, I'm in a predicament. I got this. What do you think? And it's like, oh, I did that before. That's easy. Let me show you what you do, Brenden. And you don't have that. And a lot of these models, they don't have brokers. I'm dealing with one right now that we're 2 weeks late on a closing, and the agent just seemed like she could care less. I'm the listing agent, and I'm writing up the extensions for her buyer.
Wow.
On the night of the contract expiring, and it's just like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. But I actually get to the point. It's like, here, just sit over there, shut up, and collect your check. Let me finish everything. I'll just take care of it myself.
Quality never goes out of vogue, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And like I try and teach my clients, both on the buyer side and on the sell side, if I do everything right, it's a process. It's the same process over and over again.
Yeah.
So if you 99% of the time, you're going to be able to have everything. Everything should move smoothly. So if I do the process right and I've got a good lender I'm working with, 2 weeks before closing, they should forget my name. I joke with them. It's like, you're going to see me at the closing, be like, Brenden, hey, how have you been? And it's only been a week or two since you saw me, but we're done. Everything's done. There's no stress. You should be experienced enough and done enough of these that it shouldn't be stressful. It really shouldn't. Example, before we started, I was on the phone with a general contractor I work with. I've got a listing that we happen to have 2 permits, old permits open, and he's helping me close them out. Previously, you didn't have to worry about them so much. The past couple of years with the lien searches, we have to. So it's just, okay, we'll take care of it. Not a big deal. You don't have to stress about it. You don't have to freak out about it. It's something you have to do now.
So the difference between, if I'm hearing you correctly, the difference between a good agent and a great agent doesn't leave things to the last minute, gets things done in advance, and even so much in advance that weeks before you're closing, it's all done, and you just got to, ride the wave in, correct?
Exactly. It should all be done.
That's great. All right. So I want to ask you about persistence. I've been dying to talk about this in depth because this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And I'm not in real estate sales, as you know, but in the technology world, I supply technology to real estate and title. There's a lot of crossover. All right. So persistence. How do you stay persistent without making anybody angry, without pissing them off, and close business from it? There must be a secret. Share your secret.
No secret. It's just do the work. That's it. Do the work and listen to your client. I mean, if they're telling you, hey, we're 6 months away, okay, I can understand that. Don't continually hound them. 4 months out, yeah, then you touch base with them, you know. But also you provide additional information that actually is worthwhile, not the just, you know, here's your list of new sales every day. I will actually sometimes, for some of my clients, just go out and video a house for them and send it to them. It's like, hey, you know, I know we're about 6 months away, but is this the kind of house you're looking for? You know, I saw this one, I thought of you and just wanted to see if this is more what we're looking for.
So before we get to that video idea is, I think, worth its weight in gold. But before we get too far into the video, just touch on how you stay in contact with somebody persistently yet effectively. Is it emails? Is it video? Is it, I mean, I don't mean home video. I mean, do you record a little selfie video?
Probably.
What do you do to stay top of mind?
I'll set up a schedule of follow-up. One thing I don't do that a lot of agents will do is they've got standard drip emails.
Yeah.
And they're standard. Everyone knows they're standard. Nobody reads them. Nobody wants to read them, you know, because it's the same stuff. It's not informative. So you've got to be unique. One thing that I've done for years is I use video. I probably 90-95% of the emails I send are video. And I think I can talk better than I can type.
Yeah,
and the great thing with it is people see you. And that's one reason why I can't stand texting. But people see you, they see your emotions, they get to know you. Right. You know, I've had people from out of state where we've communicated by video, communicated by Google Meet. And when you meet them finally, they're like, oh, we feel like we know you. You're part of the family. You know, it's building a relationship over time. And video, quite honestly, is the easiest way to create that relationship. I use a product called BombBomb that I absolutely love.
The worst name ever for a super good technology, by the way.
It's hilarious, but it works. You know, and you can do videos. It integrates with my Gmail, so I can send directly out of Gmail if I want to. They have their own email that I can send from there. I actually figured out that if I do a video of 30 seconds or less, I can put the link into my text messaging, and it does like a GIF, and my picture shows up.
Like a thumbnail, a thumbnail of the video?
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool. Say that again. If it's not longer than what?
I tested it out. It seems that if it's not longer than 30 seconds, it will show up as a thumbnail.
Oh, okay. You just made the whole interview right there.
Yep.
So you could send a text message to any of your prospective customers, your clients, pre-closing, post-closing, and when they get the text message, they'll see something that they don't see on any other text, and that's a thumbnail of your face.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And what's nice, they make it like a little GIF, so it looks like you're talking.
Oh, okay. Got it. Even better.
Yep.
A little motion.
And I started using that now all the time too, because again, I want to build a relationship. I want people to know me, and that's one of the things. Like, here's my face. Here's what I look like.
And generally, do they respond? You think the response is better?
Oh, yeah. What's funny is I still get, when I send over offers for my buyers, I always send a video with the offer explaining this is why we did it. This is the comparables that we're utilizing.
Oh, that's gold.
This is why we priced it.
Good for you. So just instead, every other agent in the world that I know about, and I'm sure I'm tongue in cheek here, but they send the offer. They just send a PDF of the contract. Here it is. It's this number.
I sent you an offer.
Yeah, maybe some strings attached to the offer. You go a different direction and you video your offer and explain it to them in the text.
Exactly.
In the text video, so that they're hearing from you directly. Yes?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because it answers so much. I still get people, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Where'd you learn how to do that? It's like, it's been around for 10 years, 12 years, something like that.
Yeah. You know what? I happen to know that BombBomb came out right around 2011, and I thought that was just a terrible name for that time. But they're a great company, and I know some of the folks there. They're really good.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move forward here because you've got another trick up your sleeve. When you do your videos, you're walking around the house with your iPhone and you're doing a selfie video. I know that's not true. Tell us how you do it.
First off, I'm a droid. I'm not.
Sorry.
No, I use. Hold on a second. I use this.
Oh, what is that?
This happens to be an Insta360 X3. They just came out with the X4.
What kind of camera is that?
That is a 360 camera.
A 360 camera. Okay.
Yes. So the great thing about this, I started using 360 again back in, 2012, 2013 when it first came out. First camera I had was a Ricoh, and very, very similar format to what that one is, but allowed you to take 360 pictures. The video wasn't so good. Video quality wasn't great, but it still allowed you to do 360 pictures.
Sure.
And you could lay out the entire house. So I could go in 20 minutes, take the pictures of an entire house, map it out, put the links, and you literally could walk into every room, stand in the middle of the room and look all the way around. Wow. And a lot of people still don't utilize that. It's becoming more and more relevant. You see it more on the higher end homes. Matterport is the big name in it, but you don't have to use the Matterport. There's other formats that you can use. And I kind of found that it was a 50-50 split, in that on some listings it worked great, and on some listings not so much. Because the difficulty that we found was that sometimes the 360 kept people out of the house. Your pictures and your tours are designed to pull people in, okay? Right. You don't want to give them something to say, no, I don't like this. So we kind of learned, but where I actually found the biggest benefit was from my buyers and the people who saw the house, who actually went to the house after they saw it. We will send a 360 after the fact. So that, hey, thanks for visiting. If there's any questions, please let us know. Also, here's a 360 tour. So if you want to go back through the house, you can go back through the house.
I got to say that I remember when I bought this house, the house I live in now, I went and saw a lot of houses, and I couldn't remember 2 days later, which house had what, and which house I liked and which house I didn't like. So that's brilliant that so you're not doing the video ahead of time and showing it to me necessarily, although there may be times when you do that. Yeah. But what you're doing is you're helping me to confirm or remember what I saw by supplying the video to me after, and you use your handheld to go and do that, correct?
Yeah, the 360. Yep. Yeah. I do use, if I've got a client from out of state and say they're coming in for a weekend, and I've been working with them for a week or two, and we got maybe 6 houses lined up. Then I will actually go and tour the houses before they get here, send them the video of the houses, and we go through the houses together, and that helps. We may eliminate 3 of the houses right off the bat. So what have we done now? Sure. They're in here. Their time is valuable. Right. They're just seeing the houses that they're really interested in.
Got it. That's really cool. Okay, so how much does a camera like the one you use? How much does that cost?
It's around, I think, $450, something like that.
Okay, so a little expensive, but not out of the reach.
No. And the software they have, the software that's included with is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. They keep improving it for you too.
Because it enhances the picture?
Enhances the picture. The way you can edit changes. They've made it easier and easier to edit the 360 overall. Where it would take me maybe an hour before, I can get it done in about 15 minutes now.
Oh wow! Is there some AI involved in that? AI is.
Yeah, they do have some different AI stuff that you can.
Yeah, that's cool.
You can do in there.
I'm curious though. You said that 360 videos don't work well in some houses and work much better in others. What's the difference?
I think the higher end houses, it does work better. I'm not sure why. I mean, well, one, because higher end finishes, a higher end product seems to work very well. Where when you're, looking at basically a track home, it doesn't make it stand out as much. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't have the flair per se.
Well, I think the word is pop. It doesn't pop.
Yeah, pop. Doesn't have the pop.
Got it. Right. So it seems to me that you're a bit discerning, a bit picky what houses you video in 360, and when you show that house to a client. Do you feel like then that some real estate agents rely too much on 360? That one of the things they do right away is they go in and it's 360, especially a listing agent. It's a 360 video right from the beginning.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to have the feel for your house and know how is it flowing when you're walking through. How is it flowing? Because a lot of people will use the Matterport now. Zillow actually has the ability. I can use this camera with Zillow's application. I can do a tour and it updates it to Zillow because Zillow kind of shut everybody else out. and you have to use their app to do the 360.
So it's integrated. You could upload directly to Zillow from your
Yeah.
handheld camera. Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yep, they have an app, and you just pop.
Great.
You know? So
What if the house
it's one of those things. It's the more you play with it, the more.
Sure.
You know, it really does come down to house, how you see people react to it. You know, are people taking a lot of tours? Are they looking at it? Are they, do I have 1,000 views of my 360 tour and only have like 5 showings? That tells me that they're seeing something in the video or the tour that maybe they don't like. Yeah. So you kind of have to analyze that, and you kind of have to look at the numbers on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, some houses you're going to see and not like no matter what, just because they're not your taste. But I can see if you don't represent a house well, and I guess lighting has something to do with that, and the windows and the sliding glass doors, and making the house look open and airy. Are those bigger homes? Is that kind of your sweet spot?
Yeah. I mean, if it's a vacant tract home, something, say D.R. Horton's built and it's all the same, and say the lighting's dark, you can try and play with it, but if it doesn't pop, it's kind of like people taking photos with their iPhones for the listing photos.
Right.
You can tell they're not touched up, and it doesn't make me want to go see the house.
Right.
And that's what you have to be careful of is what am I presenting, making the person want to see it or not want to see it.
Although there are some new AIs out there for the iPhone that touches up pictures, and I think they do video as well. I've used an AI app called Remini a couple times, and it does a pretty damn good job. So I'm sure it's only a matter of time before a lower cost option would be using your cell phone for 3D using that software. Okay, let's move on. By the way, before we do, one other question. You talk about editing. It's now not an hour. It's closer to 15 minutes. How do you do this editing? Is it software that comes with the camera, or is it something that you go online and do?
It's actually software that comes with the camera.
Oh, it is. Okay, so it's all. So for the $400 or so, you get the software and the hardware.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah. And that's where I used to have to put it into a separate video editing software. And with a 360, you had to play around with a couple different things. Now I just go to the software.
Oh, got it. Good. Okay, so let's move on from 3D. I want to call it 3D. It's 360 video. What else do you use to stay in touch? You got to have a couple other gems in your bag there.
I've got a great CRM system that I utilize.
Which one?
I do. I make sure that I have my own webpage that my clients are getting their updates. Either daily, weekly, or bi-monthly, monthly. Depends on their priorities. But you want to stay in touch with them. I use a product for my past clients and current home sellers called HomeBot, which I really enjoy. It gives an automated valuation model, which is pretty good. They've gotten pretty good over the years. But what I like about it is it's just not, here's the value. It's okay, this is how much equity you have. This is, if you made this much extra in the payment, this is how much you would knock off. If you wanted to refinance, if you refinance this much, this is what your payments would be. So it gives them a lot of different things to look at as far as use of your home and the equity in your home. And I actually probably have close to a 50 to 60% open rate. They go out monthly. So it's a great way to stay in touch with everybody. And it's a great way, especially with home sellers, maybe they're not ready, but here, I'm touching base with you every month on the value of your home. And you it's kind of funny because you kind of watch how many times they open it up, because it tells you how many times they open up.
You go back and check it.
Yeah. If you got a home seller opening it up 6 times in a month, time to reach out.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, they may be back in the market.
Yep.
What's the name of your CRM? Do you recall?
I use a product called Real Geeks, which is an integrated website and CRM system. So,
as much as I know how into technology, that's a pretty good name for a product you use.
Oh, it is. It is. I like it because I can modify the web pages. I can build out different web pages. So a lot of times when you're building things out, you got to worry about keywords, things like that. And as an individual agent, I'm never going to outrank Zillow, Realtor, any of these guys,
right,
on a regular search like homes in Orlando for sale.
Right.
Not going to do it, But what I can outrank them on is condo complexes in Altamont Springs. That I can outrank them on because I can build in more data. They're just a straight data dump. That's all they are. So I can actually go in, build a first page. It's called siloing. actually. You build your first page. So condo complexes in Altamont. You start there. You put the 20 complexes. Then from those 20 complexes, you build separate pages for each of the complexes, and then you link back all of them to each other, and it helps your ranking.
Sure, it does. SEO.
SEO. Yep.
Got
So
it.
that's there. I can outrank them. And people look like, and this is I think a lot of people don't realize is like, okay, you got to look at how many houses are actually sold a year. There's was it 4 million? There's going to be about 4.5 million this year.
Something like that.
Million.
Yep.
Pretty low. One of the lowest numbers in a long time. Do you know that Zillow, I think, sends out, I want to say 100 million leads, something like that?
100 million leads on 4.5 million ultimate sales, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Wow. How do you account for that?
Think about that.
That's
and people
huge.
are paying. I had a gentleman the other day. I was on one of my group things, and he's like, "Well, should I pay Zillow? They want, was it $1,800 for 6 leads a month?" I'm like, "Oh, tell you what, you give me 900, and I'll get you, and I'll quadruple that. Plus, I'll keep having it in my pocket."
And you go back to your overflow leads that we were talking about at the beginning of our call. Okay, got it. Yep.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I'm like, well, we got into a discussion. Well, I go, well, here, first off, because he says he's been working internet leads for a while. I go, well, that it takes on average 8 to 9 months for those leads to mature. It used to be 6 to 7 contacts before you got somebody. Now it's 14. They say it's 14 to 18, which I truly believe. So I was going through that with him. I said, so what's happening is because the market is down, sales are down, you've become impatient. Well, just keep doing what you're doing. They will fall. If you're going to spend that on Zillow, double your efforts on your own systems. He's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'm like, yeah, why would you give them? I never understood why, I mean, I know there's some big teams out there that's all they do is buy Zillow leads. And quite honestly, I'm kind of curious what's going to happen to Zillow with the changes we have coming down from NAR.
Yeah. Because
they came out, they tried to do this 1-day showing agreement, and it got shot down in several states as nope, you can't use that. So how are they going to set up the selling of the buyer leads now?
The name of the agreement was what again? Did you say 1 day?
It was a 1-day agreement.
Huh. And what was did they say what the compensation was in that 1 day agreement?
No compensation.
Huh. So why would somebody do that?
I don't know. I wouldn't.
I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah. It got shut down pretty quick. So we got some major changes coming in the industry over the next month.
Well, since you brought it up, let me jump in and ask, how do you feel about the changes to buyer agent compensation, selling agent compensation?
The truth? Crocky shit. Bunch of bullshit. Absolute bunch of bullshit.
Okay.
That's how I feel about it. Because what happened is you had some ambulance chasing. He literally was personal injury attorney from Arkansas who sold a bill of goods to a bunch of homeowners, said that they were ripped off. He's going to make 120 million or more. And the settlement for the homeowners is about $20 a piece. And because of that, it's changed an entire industry. We got notified last week, August 6th, the commission field, the buyer commission field will be removed from the MLS for us.
Right.
But they're going to put in a concession field. It's not commission.
Okay. So how does that work?
Basically, the seller can pay a concession. You can't call it commission. It's a concession. And that concession can be used for anything. And it's like, okay. So it's still a commission. No, you can't say that, but it is. But you can't say that.
But it's like the concession is paid at closing or through closing?
Concession is paid at closing.
Uh-huh. And who sets the concession in this scenario?
Seller.
The seller sets the concession for the buyer's agent.
Yep.
Huh.
Well, for the sale of the house, not to the buyer's agent, because that would be a commission. Can't say it that way. It's a concession. It's just a concession on the house. I'm willing to give 2.5% or 3%. But I've talked to some of my lenders, and my lenders are like, well, Fannie and Freddie said that they're not going to count if a seller pays the buyer's agent commission towards concessions. Well, how do I distinguish that? Because I'm not allowed to say it's for buyer's agent commission anymore. So it's like, it's a cluster. It's a mess.
That's not totally clear to me. The word concession means to concede. I'm going to give up something.
I'm going to give up. Yeah.
Give up on something.
But here's the thing is what happens when they said 2.5% up front, but I've got an FHA buyer who needs the 3% or 4% concession for closing costs too. So now I've got to write the concession as 6.5% or 5.5%.
Sounds like it's getting more expensive.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Where before it's like, okay, I know I'm paying the buyer commission. The system had worked for so long and actually worked very well. Everyone knew. I mean, the one thing that I agreed with some MLSs is, you know what? Put what the buyer's agent's getting paid. There was nothing wrong. I had no problem with that. Letting people know, hey, on this house, the seller's willing to pay me 2% or 2.5% or 3%.
Right.
And there's a lot of situations where, hey, I got 3%, but I knew my client needed like an extra $500 or $600. Well, fine. I'll reduce my commission and give you a closing cost contribution.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a little bit of a concession.
Yeah. And am I going to be able to do that now? How do I write that? And here's the thing. If I write the agreement that they're going to pay me 2% and they offer 2.5%, I'm not allowed the other 0.5%. So I have to go write a new contract.
Oh gosh.
So basically, we're going to keep 50 contracts in our car and have to pretty much write one for every house. I mean, there's other states that do this and they're used to it. There's a lot of them actually. But I can see it becoming, but they're going to have to change the language just like we're changing the language. And that's where I think the confusion is going to come in for a lot of people. And I think the biggest confusion is going to be coming in the lender area.
How so?
Because the lender's saying, hey, we're not going to count it, but then I can't designate it. If I can't designate it, the seller has to count it, or the lender has to count it, doesn't he? I have to be able to designate that 2.5% is for buyer's agent commission, is what I've been told, what the guideline is. And why would you go gutless, absolutely gutless? Why they settled and why they agreed to this, I have no freaking clue. Because all they had to do, I went through some of the transcript. I watched some of the stuff. All you had to do was this: send an email out to every single agent and give me a breakdown of every sales transaction you've had in the past 4 years. That's it. Because you know what you would have shown? You would have shown that it ranged from some people $1,000 to some people 5%. Guess what? There's no fixing. There's no fixing. There never was any fixing. And you always, as a home seller, you always had the ability to negotiate. If you didn't want to do it, that's fine. If you said, okay, yeah, 6%, oh, that's standard, right? Well, that's what I charge. Okay, no, that's fine. You could have come back and said, Brenden, I'm not willing to do 6. Can you do 5? Sure.
Well, I think people just didn't know that they could negotiate. And I think some agents, and I don't know if it's the majority or the minority, I'm not as close to it as you are, but I think some agents didn't disclose that you could negotiate. And maybe this could have all been solved by signing some or presenting some document and getting signatures on it that said you can negotiate with me, the buyer's agent.
Well, the buyer's commission, it was on the contracts where, okay, you agreed to 5% with me.
Yeah.
And then of my 5%, I'm telling you, I'm going to give 2.5 of it to the buyer's agent, or I'm going to give 2 of it to the buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. So it's always there. But you know how many documents, my gosh, because everybody sued everybody. There's a ton of documents you have to sign now. Most people don't want to go through all those documents.
Right.
They've got faith in us that we're presenting it in the proper manner.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to go to one more question about technology, and then I'm going to ask you how anybody can get in touch with you. Although maybe you don't want that to happen based on some of the things you said. Folks, he's a great guy. I know him personally. And everybody's entitled to their opinion, of course. All right.
I'm as straightforward as you get. I'm not going to hold back.
Yes, you are.
And you can't do that. You got too many people walk on glass these days, and we don't address a lot of problems. I think and that's something that bothers me. It's like at some point, I call it, there's got to be an adult in the room.
As they say, put your big boy pants on, and let's talk about it. Okay,
exactly.
Give me one other technology that you use on a daily basis, maybe 2 if there are 2. Why don't you take a look at your phone and let's see. Even though you don't use an Apple phone, you use that Android, whatever that thing is called, an Android. Give us 1 or 2 technologies that you use on a daily basis in your business, not for texting the kids or anything like that.
Well, there's a lot of tools for real estate. The MLS app one, I love. They've actually done a really good job of building that.
And what makes it great?
That I can pull up anything, anywhere, anytime where I'm at. Give you an example. I was showing on Saturday down in Lake Nona, and I had my clients on, and it's like I put in the parameters that I wanted, and was able to pull up literally 4 houses that were in walking distance of the one we were looking at. Ended up showing 3 houses instead of 1 house. I could go in, I could get the showing instructions immediately. oh, wonderful. This one's vacant. I can get into this one. Another
good.
one I use quite often now is WhatsApp.
Okay.
The video quality on WhatsApp is excellent.
So what do you video?
Sometimes I'll do tours with video with the WhatsApp.
Uh-huh.
If my clients have WhatsApp, I'll use that a lot of times as well, because if we're out and I've had people where they call me, I may not have my other items with me. I don't have to do the upload per se. And we'll walk through a house that way as well. There's different ways to do it for different clients. It's whatever they're comfortable with. And as long as you've got the technology at your fingertips, man, just use it.
So are you videoing, forgive me and my inexperience with that part of your world, are you videoing the walkthrough with the client, or are you going to a home and using WhatsApp to, let's say you're not going to do a 360, you just want to do a quick
video call with them.
A video call with, oh, got it.
Yep. We do a video call and we will walk through the house.
And WhatsApp is phenomenal for international stuff, right? So if you're representing international clients.
Yeah. Even just clients from out of state. The video quality, I've tried to do it with Google Meet and a couple others, and the video quality signal is nowhere, just isn't as good as what's on WhatsApp. The clarity is phenomenal, really good. So I'll use that as an alternative. If they're not there with me, but I'm going to look at a house with them, in that case, I'll use my 360. If they want more detail after the tour, I'll go back with the 360, so I can send it to them. So there's as long as you got these tools at your hands and you're willing to learn them, most of them are pretty easy, pretty simple to learn. Use them because it will separate you from everyone else. It really does. You're building a relationship and you're showing the people that you're a professional.
Absolutely.
I had some agents this weekend trying to look at my listings, and we have Showtime. You schedule through Showtime, and Showtime has a messaging system in there. So once you do it, I will usually send them a message reiterating the instructions to them. Nobody looked at it. So what happens? I get a phone call. Well, I've been standing at the door for 10 minutes and did you look at your message? What message? Your Showtime message. You should get a notification. Oh, I don't know how to use that. Okay. All right. Same thing with a gate code. I had a gate code. They were an hour and a half late getting there. And I through the Showtime, send him the message. Here's the gate code to get into the community. And of course, he texts me at 7:30 on Saturday night. Lucky I didn't have my phone off, quite honestly. It's like, I sent it to you. He goes, no. I'm like, yeah, it's in Showtime. I put it in Showtime. And he's like, oh, I didn't look there. I'm like,
Understood. Well, Brenden, I want to say thank you for being on the You Heard Me podcast. You are, as always, a wealth of information. And the thing I like most is your implementation, that you not only talk the talk, but you walk the walk. Starting from when you were a mortgage professional, then you got into real estate and you started taking leads that nobody wanted, and you learned the secret to getting business through persistency, but not just being persistent and irritating people, but through the right kind of persistence. You use technology, be it 360 videos, WhatsApp, other AI enhanced technologies, and it makes all the difference. And you follow up and you're prepared for your closing. So if you're a real estate agent watching this and you want to know how to take your game to the next level, this interview tells you how to do that. And you shouldn't do just one or two. You should do it all. Brenden, how can people get in touch with you?
You can reach me. Feel free to email me at Brenden, BRENDEN, at homesinорlando.forsale, or you can call me anytime, 407-710-8720. I love chatting with other agents and learning what they're doing and getting, having the camaraderie out there, of what's going on, and especially in this market, because it's a soft market. It's a tough market right now. So
pay it forward, right?
Yep. Yeah. It helps to keep you motivated, keep your head up.
Thank you, Brenden.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Take care.